Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I wanted to show you a crystal grid that I've been working on and to talk to you about the process I've been going through while making the grid, the decisions I've made, and to hopefully inspire you if you are thinking about a crystal grid. As well, I wanted to show you or present you with a new approach that I've decided to take with this grid and just to see what you guys think about it. Okay, so I started, as we always do with a grid, with an intention first, and I wanted a very clear intention because I really wanted my crystal grid to work for me in the way that it should. And so I spent some time, actually quite a lot of time, thinking and meditating over my intention. Originally, I wanted to make a grid for fear and anxiety, but then I decided, I don't know, that didn't sit with me quite right. So finally what I actually ended up doing is I chose something more positive in a way to bring into the grid and to use that energy to help me work with fear and anxiety. So instead of dispelling fear and anxiety, I thought of bringing something else to help me work with them. And so this grid is called the Present Moment Crystal Grid. And so it is a grid to help me focus and to stay with the present moment. So first I'm going to show you the stones that the crystals I originally wanted to work with. So over here, I'm going to just shift to the side here. And so I chose 3 types of crystals to work with. The first, green aventurine. The 3 crystals I decided to work with are green aventurine, rose quartz, and hematite. So if you can see it. So I chose green aventurine because it's a very positive crystal. It brings positivity, it gets rid of negativity. It is a prosperity stone, but more importantly, it helps you with getting through fear. Also, that was my original thing I focused on was fear, but then green aventurine is associated with the planet Mercury, which is the planet of intellect and thought. And it also helps us to stay with the present moment. I chose hematite because hematite is a very grounding and calming crystal. It helps with anxiety and focus. It really helps to focus. It is a stone to help also with the present moment, to come back to where you are. And this stone is actually associated with Mars, the planet Mars. So I chose it as well to give me courage because it's not so easy to always be in the present moment, as we all know. So it gives me all those things as well as some courage to do this. The rose quartz is a calming stone. It's a really grounding, calming, soothing stone. I chose it for 2 reasons more specifically. One is that to bring love to my grid, to bring self-love to my grid, non-judgment, so that while I'm going through this process, if sometimes I forget and if sometimes I'm not in the present moment, which is going to happen quite a lot, I don't get down on myself. I don't blame myself. I bring love to it, and I always remember that that's the key, and this is supposed to help me, not to make me feel bad about things. So I thought that rose quartz was a great addition to this grid. As well, I love the fact that rose quartz is associated with Venus, and the planet Venus is the opposite to Mars, and at the same time they work in conjunction. So it's kind of like the positive and negative, or you can say the male and female energy that I bring into this. So that was the 3 crystals that I chose to work with originally. Then my grid kind of took a little bit of a different approach, and this, I guess you would say, is going to be kind of a non-traditional, more unorthodox kind of crystal grid, because what I was doing was, I want to show you something else here. What you see here, these are all pebble stones. These are all pebble stones that I collected walking around. And I love pebble stones. I love the feel of them in my hands. They're very grounding and soothing, and you know, they, even though we just walk by them on a daily basis and we think they all look the same, really they're not. Every individual one is so unique, so different from the other ones, and they're so beautiful. You know, to me it's like the difference between wildflowers or flowers at a floral shop. So you go to the floral shop and they're all beautiful, but then the wildflowers have a different kind of beauty. And that's how I feel with these stones, is that we could step on them, we could totally overlook them, but when we go to a crystal shop, there's all these beautiful crystals and stones, and they attract our attention because they're all these different colors, and we go and we pay for them. But then what we have in front of us, sitting, you know, just on the ground and everywhere around us, it's something special that we may overlook. And recently, for some reason, I've been really attracted to pebble stone. I've been collecting them, putting them all over my room, and then just the other day, I wanted to make my grid, and I kept putting it off for some reason. I just wasn't quite sure about the grid, the crystals I'd chosen. I think that was the thing. And then one night, a couple nights ago, I thought, well, why don't I incorporate the pebbles into my crystal grid? Of course, this voice in my head was saying, no, you can't do that. That's weird. Like, nobody does that. I've never seen that before. That doesn't work. You can't even, you know, even technical things came to my head, like, well, they're not the same crystal structures. You can't put quartz with pebble stones. It just doesn't work together. So I did some research, and actually, interestingly enough, I discovered that pebble stones are composed of quartz crystals as well as sedimentary rock. And sedimentary rock could be, for example, flint, limestone, sandstone, mudstone. It's a combination of a variety of things. So yes, there is actually quartz in there, and there's also marble sometimes too, by the way. Like this here is just I think it's just marble. It's a white, really beautiful. And this one as well, it looks like marble. And then, you know, some of them, for example, this one, you can't really see it on camera here, but in the light, it's glittery all around. So I think there's a lot of quartz in this one, for example. You know, I think these pebble stones, they have a lot to teach us. They've been on the planet Earth much longer than we have. You know, there's a lot we can learn from them. I personally feel that. I feel like they're talking to me all the time, and they have all these just really deep things embedded in them. So besides my crystals, I've been taking a huge interest in pebble stones. So all these ones that I've collected here, I'm going to show you some of them in a moment, but all these ones are the ones that I've put next to the crystals I've chosen, and I've decided, okay, I'm going to make the grid. I'll show you guys the grid at the end of the video. Well, sort of coming up soon. Not sure if it's going to be a separate video or not, but it might be just attached to this one. I'm going to film that and then talk about the grid itself. But before I go on, look at this over here. You've got this. I'll show you some of the granite stones. This is granite. There's different types. There's, as you know, there's also pink. You might not know, but there's pink granite. I found one, but I don't have it here to show you. This is granite. This one, I love this one. Let's see if you can see it. I think I've done a video with showing this one. But that one, this is just a patterned stone here. And then I've got, oh, like the shape of this is just so perfectly circular, round. And then this one is like a perfect sphere, isn't it? And then I have this one that's a quite, it's got a very shiny texture. It has this line here that goes across. I call this stone my yin yang stone because it reminds me of balance. And then I found this one. I think this is so interesting because there's this line that divides this. I thought it was water when I first found it, but then I discovered it's not, and it's got some mysterious little dot here that looks like iron oxide or something. Hopefully you see it. And then there's this one that's this brown one that has all these little stripes that go this way, and it's shiny. It's so nice. And then look at the shape of this one, how it naturally came. So you can like put, if it's like a touchstone. Really nice. So these are some that I got, and I love them all, and they all talk to me every day. So there you go. And so tell me what you guys think about using pebble stones in crystal grids. Now I'm gonna go ahead and work on my grid, and I'll come back and show it to you guys. See you soon. Hi guys. So here's my crystal grid in its full manifestation that I wanted to show you. As you can see in the center, I have not used a quartz crystal generator, and the reason for that is, well, I was just guided. I kept coming back to my Himalayan candle holder for the center, even though I have a very beautiful crystal generator, the quartz crystal generator. I kept coming back to this, so I thought, okay, fine, I'll go with it. It just feels right, and the sense of it was just nice. The fire element is so pure, and salt is purifying. So I think I needed that purifying energy in my life at this point, so I went with it. So first thing I did is I wrote down my affirmation, my intention on a piece of paper, and I placed it right underneath my generator. And I chose the number 10. I chose to go with the number 10 and the shape of the circle. Both the number 10 and the circle represent completion, and also the cycle of beginning and end in one. So it's a combination of the both and the end and the beginning that keeps going around in a circle. When I meditate in my mindfulness meditation practice, I always keep the circle shape in my mind. It helps me to remember that when thoughts come up in my mind, I acknowledge them, and then I just begin again. So it's like beginning again and again, like the cycle. Also, the number 10 in tarot, for those of you who like tarot, I do, the number 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, and it's also associated with the planet Jupiter. And the Wheel of Fortune is all about cycles. Okay, so the stones were chosen, well, I selected them just going with my senses. 3 of the pebbles, and then the rest my crystals. And how I put them around was all just through meditation and thinking and focusing, not really thinking, but just using my senses to go, using my intuition to go with how many and where. This just felt right, and then I've got some quartz crystals around the circle to generate the energy and to spread it out around my room. So I'll go over my stones again. The hematite, which will help me strengthen my mind, and it gives me courage and strengthens my will. Rose quartz, unconditional love, non-judgment, and helps me watch my emotions. Green aventurine helps me watch my thoughts and strengthens the mind and positive energy giving. Then the 3 pebbles that I used, they help me ground and get centered, and gives me also a sense of peace to have them around. The marble, by the way, I just read last night that it helps calm the nervous system, the central nervous system. So that's very appropriate for my grid, I think. And this one also has some quartz in it. So I will now show you how I activate my grid. I activate it once a day in the mornings, and I use this beautiful natural quartz wand, and I state my affirmation as I activate the grid. And the affirmation I've picked, I carefully chose it. It really is a good one. It works not just for staying in the present, but also when I'm going through anxieties and when my mind is scattered. So I'll actually state it for you. I found this affirmation in a book by Matthew McKay called The Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. Very good book, highly recommend it. The affirmation goes, "The present moment is perfect, even if I don't like what's happening." So the second part actually is really important for me. The present moment is perfect, even if I don't like what's happening. I state this as I activate my grid. So I'll start with the center and I'll draw a line to my first stone. And I'll just keep going around the circle. I'll repeat this connection as I think about my intention and state my affirmation in my head. And then I'll go around. Once I come back to the stone I started with, I go around in a circle, and I usually repeat that 3 times. That's what feels right for me. Okay, and I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next ones. Thank you, take care, bye bye.